Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Marketing Water Cooler podcast. My name is Jeremy Francesi. Thanks for stopping by. Steph, what are we getting into today?
Let's talk about active versus passive word of mouth.
This is something I haven't yet termed, made a formal name for, but I've been thinking about a lot. And I think the right way to structure it and the way I'll frame this conversation is people aren't talking about the value of word of mouth enough when they talk about B2B service-based business marketing. Like when you are marketing to other companies, word of mouth still matters 100%. It may be hard to attribute in your models and in your systems and softwares, but it's so important. And so one thing we've been talking a lot about, you'll see it in the rebrand, but this will probably already have been live by then, is the concept of active word of mouth enablement marketing. And a whole jumbled mess of a term to say, is your marketing a catalyst for more word of mouth? Because here's the thing. If you're listening to this or watching this and you're in a service-based business, lawyer, consultant, IT, maybe investment, right? Financial advisor, whatever it may be, right? If you're a service-based business, very good chance at some point in time early in your company, whether you now have 500 employees or you have 5, you built your business off of word of mouth marketing. You did it, whether it's by community events or just client by client, introducing you to other people, right? Word of mouth marketing. It is the best thing in the world, right? Emails that basically say, hey, I want you to meet so-and-so, or text to say, hey, let me introduce you to somebody. That still plays. It just plays differently. And so what we talk a lot about is understanding how word of mouth works, how the channels work. We talked a little bit in previous episodes about instead of people going on Google to search something, they're going to a Facebook community, a Slack channel, some type of a community online to ask questions to get answers and recommendations. So when we think about active versus passive word of mouth, when we talk to service-based businesses and they say, we've been using word of mouth for the most part, what that tells me is you've been doing nothing but focusing very deeply on your client base. Look, we do that too. A ton of our business is client referrals. But the difference is, as you'll see as we go on offense and really start launching this show and a lot of other initiatives, right? Word of mouth in the traditional sense is, for the most people listening to this, is something that you are basically throwing as a hope strategy. It's not intentional. It's not controllable. It's not something that you can actually pour gasoline on and improve, right? Because you're just waiting for people to talk about you and refer you to people. There is a better way to do that. Now, I'm not saying don't service your clients. Go all in on servicing your clients so that they refer. But there needs to be more attention on how people look at your content, organic and paid, online, written, videos, whatever it may be, down to you maybe building a Facebook community that's around a business value or a service or an industry or an interest, right? That facilitates community development, right? But the punchline is you can leverage word of mouth to be a go on offense approach, not a reactive, passive, things will come in when they come in approach. That's really the punchline of this episode. Steph, I'll kind of open it up to you before I start riffing and raving about this, because it's something I've been thinking a lot about, and kind of let you open it up. Any questions that come to mind, where we can kind of steer the episode.
Yeah, I've sort of noticed, especially if I'm going to buy like tickets to a show, or if I'm going to, there's always like that sort of, did someone refer you, or did someone like, where did you find us kind of thing? How, I guess sort of in more like the data world, and if this isn't something, you can answer right now, maybe we can get back to it later, but sort of how does that actually reflect the sort of word of mouth world?
To be honest, it's a tough thing to definitively answer, because
Sure.
I'll give you a really easy example. And we talked about this on previous episodes, but if you didn't check that out, or maybe you're circling back, I'll run it back on this one as well. It's like, let's say somebody goes online and they're looking up cloud solutions, cloud, maybe they're looking up, we'll go deep into something nerdy, ERP systems, right? We're talking about technology softwares, and they need somebody to help them implement that solution, right? Maybe let's talk Salesforce. Steph, I don't know if you're familiar with Salesforce. There's an economy built around helping Salesforce implement their solutions, right? So let's say you're with a company and they have a sales organization and they are in the process of updating their CRM. They have no systems or Excel spreadsheets in place right now, and now they're looking at Salesforce to help them improve that. Now the question is, who do they go to have it implemented? They're going to go on Google, look around Salesforce implementation consultants or some aggregate or combination of that framework, and they're going to have some ideas. What they're also likely to do is take the information they've gathered and go to a Facebook group of entrepreneurs, of salespeople, maybe of local geographic-based groups of Washington, D.C. entrepreneurs, right? Small business owners of San Antonio, right? They'll go in a community, whether it's a Slack channel for technology, consulting, entrepreneurship, or a specific vertical like cyber. But they're going to go to a community potentially and ask the question, we're updating our CRMs. What do you recommend? And you would be astonished. I'm in a sales group, every single day there are comment or questions about softwares, systems, management tips, leadership things, and there are hundreds of responses. Hundreds, right? And so when you're using those type of attribution models and you're getting a format of how did you find us? Look, they may go take the Google information that they've acquired, go to the community on Facebook, and then go straight to the website and says, how did you find us? Or what did you do? Right. And yeah, maybe you found it online, but that didn't make you go buy.
True.
Right. There's a big difference between what brought to your, what was it that gave you the awareness of the provider solution offering and what actually influenced you to engage and reach out. So the thing I always ask is, if the data is exactly accurate, 100% perfect, does it actually help you? So that question, how did you find us? I found you on Google, but that didn't actually make me do anything.
Right.
So I think that gets back to active word of mouth, passive word of mouth, data attribution. Like, you can make data say anything you want. They're numbers.
That is true. Yeah.
If you want to justify search, you can find a way to say that 82% of our traffic comes in from Google. Yeah, it came from maybe like a friend that was sitting around talking, or a Facebook group, and then they went to Google and looked up your company because they couldn't find your website. So yeah, you can show that it came from Google, but it had absolutely nothing to do with what made them engage with your business.
Right.
So that's the challenge. I've heard people, talk about this, Chris Walker, who I'm a huge fan of, talk about like the dark web, the dark circle. I think the dark funnel. That's what he calls it. The dark funnel. It's like everybody's trying for this very clean, linear approach to like the A, B, C, D. Like they came to our website, they got an ebook, then they got nurtured, then they came here, then they saw a demo, then they converted, right? But the reality is, like, that's just not how, a lot of buying occurs. And
right.
So what he talks about, and I don't actually know if this is something he like created or termed, like, and if it is, totally give him credit. Like I don't know where this started, but it's something I've been thinking a lot about because of just our business is founded in fundamentals. How do you close the gap? Well, let's start with the fact that humans buy from companies, not companies. Okay, so what makes that human move? Okay, what about those specific movements are personal, and what are them are greater initiatives in the company? Based on that and their level in the company, what information do they need to justify at the higher level for stakeholders to take qualified risks in buying and moving forward with different things? Like, it's getting really deep to the human. And when I think about more than that, like, CEOs are on Facebook, CEOs are on LinkedIn, CEOs are on Twitter, CEOs are on TikTok. Like, people don't stop being who they are when they go out of work.
Right.
They just change the platform and the community. And so that attribution is going to give you a ton of information. My question is, are you asking the right question?
What is the right question?
What influenced you to visit our website and buy that ticket? Influence is greater, in my opinion, than visibility. Like, I get that in the scope of marketing, there's awareness, consideration, and then right? There's phases to the marketing journey, and there's processes that you have to work through. But where you really need to be spending money is understanding what is influencing people. You're still going to need to do awareness marketing, right? There's in-demand opportunities, and then there are not in-demand opportunities. The in-demand is people actively searching for your solutions, looking for help, looking for recommendations, actively in the market to buy something. Then there's everybody else, right? And so when somebody says, how did you find us? What did you do? You know, they might say, so, or this is my favorite on those forums. It's a social media.
What does that even mean nowadays? You know,
yeah, help me.
The entirety of the internet.
Right.
Basically.
Exactly. Thank you, Steph. Like, exactly. Right. So when you look at, you know, really how to figure out word of mouth, how to understand things, it's, are you asking the right question? Based on the question you're asking, are you asking for actual information? Or are you just supporting your own thesis?
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
I'd love to see more questions on, you know, and this is a little bit more detailed, so it's a little bit nuanced, but, you know, it's hard because it's hard to put it into like specific 1, 2, 3, or 4. I want to know, for example, at what point in your research journey did you arrive at our website? Right. At what point in your buying research process did you ask a friend? At what point in your journey did you make a sole decision, or were you still swayed by external factors? Like, I know these aren't literal things you can put into a questionnaire, but like, they are things that matter.
Right.
When people come to your website statistically during their buying process is an important thing for you to know. Is it the first stop or is it the third stop? Right. Think medical doctors, like, there's data out there that, and I don't have it offhand to reference it, but like there's a lot of information out there that talks through different, like, depending on the level of risk parameters for a given solution, like a drug, like if you're a pharmacist, or excuse me, you're a medical physician, like, marketing is only going to get you so far until they look at supported, you know, like trials, and they talk to doctors and they look and say, okay, they just had a successful trial with ABC. And then I'm going to talk to somebody that's already prescribing this to somebody. Right. Like, there's only so much you're going to be able to do if you're not paying attention to what people actually need when they're looking to gain confidence and certainty. Active and passive word of mouth is about respecting the fact that your buyer is a human, and humans value the social gratification and approval of their community.
Right.
People run from things that are perceived as risky. Sure. Knowing their colleagues already did it and it worked is a pretty good way to feel like it's not risky.
Yeah. And I think in terms of that sort of active word of mouth thing, if you're creating a community around your product, then at least for me as an outside person, that means I will always be able to find someone who can answer a question for me. I know exactly where to go if I have a question. You know, there will be someone who will listen to feedback. You know, these are the sort of, at least like, ideas that I have about a thing. Whether it's true or not is whether or not people will do business with you. But, you know, knowing that you have actively taken the time and effort to create some sort of community around your product, that to me as a consumer makes me will make me more likely to consider your product.
100%. It's the comfort of knowing that you're not alone.
That's very true.
Word of mouth is a powerful, powerful catalyst for building confidence that you're not alone. Somebody else has handled that problem before. Somebody else has implemented a solution before. Somebody else has gotten onto the other side of it, solved it, and proceeded to find success. How does your marketing facilitate that conversation? How does it bring more confidence to bring them to another person, bring them to a community, bringing them in an environment where somebody wants to recommend them because they're saying, I need help with this thing, and they want to comment it. They want to drop a message. They want to say, this helped me. I have done that with so many solutions that it's crazy, because it's like when things actually, and that's where, like, this is another conversation, but like, there's content we'll put out about it. It's like, I'm a big believer in, like, I'm terrible at celebrating small wins. Like, I mean, you probably know this. Like,
you have mentioned this quite a few
times. The worst at it, because it's like, that was a part of the plan. What did I do all of that work for? You know, like, but where I'm getting at it is, business is just the rate at which you deliver on your word. and the impact of having delivered on your word, right? It's, are you consistent on delivering, and is what you're promising actually valuable? That's all businesses, in my opinion, right? And so if you are actually delivering on something that's of value and it's actually effective, people should want to talk about it to other people that are struggling to solve that problem. But you got to make it easy for them, right? And that's the question. But in deeper commentary for another episode, because we want to keep these short and actionable. We can get into the thick of it, but ultimately get you where you need to go. And so we'll dig into this later and talk more, but people want to know that others have handled it and gotten through to the other side. So I just ask you, if you're a CEO, an executive, a marketing lead, like, what are you doing to build confidence and facilitate active word of mouth, right? What are you doing to facilitate active word of mouth? Because taking care of clients is great, but it's only going to get you so far, because the second something slips, now your offense turns into nothing.
Right.
Take control of it, figure that out. Sky's the limit from there. And so, anything else, Steph?
I think just if you have a way, if you as a company are celebrating the sort of community and word of mouth aspects, that I think just makes everything more exciting personally. If we're like, yeah, along with this process, along with this solution, this product, whatever, we also have all of these people who are really excited about us. There's a reason why, you look up a restaurant and the first thing is Yelp. There's a reason, like, people are looking for reviews, and it's people want to know what other peers and other people in the same position are thinking about it.
100%. And look, this can be as simple as the case study development process of going and touching your customers and saying, hey, where did we work? Like, what did we do that made an impact? Why have you stayed with us over the last 3 years? What is it that we promised you, and how did it work on the back end? And take that success and create something about it. Maybe it's a video series. Maybe it's a graphic quote overlay. It's not just about testimonials. It's about getting the story out there of the smaller aspects of it, right? Testimony, they were amazing. Only goes so far, because it doesn't do anything for anybody. It does. Social proof matters. I'm speaking to move the point across. What I'm trying to get at, though, is people want to know that something's, they can understand it, they can relate to it. Having something on a website or doing something that says they were super helpful. Well, what did they do? What was the problem, right? And then tell that story in a variety of ways. Now, it could be through a community, could be a graphic. There's so many ways to do it, and it doesn't have to be complicated. But find a way to make it easy for your customers and your future opportunities to talk about your your existing customers, to make it easy for them to tell your story, right? That's all we got for now. We'll dig into passive versus active word of mouth. If you are hoping and waiting for things to happen, you are limited. It's really, you can still win. I'm not saying you can't win, but the difference between winning and dominating is having a plan to go on offense, and just waiting for things to come to you is definitely not the way to go on offense. And so that's what we got. Steph, anything else?
I think everyone just wants to hold your hand. Everyone just wants someone to hold your hand and take you through the world.
Take you to the promised land. You guys know the deal. Thank you for tuning in. Marketing Water Cooler Podcast. Episodes Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday every week. We'll keep coming, and we look for some feedback, right? So if you can throw any questions our way, we'd love the feedback to fold it into future episodes. But that's all we got for now. So stay tuned for more. Thank you. Hey, thanks so much for sticking around to the end. If you liked the video, smash the like button and hit subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the new episodes. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. We will fold them into future episodes and make sure that you get the help and the answers you're really looking for all things marketing and communications.